Welcome to Maine Concerns, where our news team gives you a closer look at the events that happened around Maine this week.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Cindy Campbell. One of my favorite Maine nonprofits is encouraging first graders to develop a love of reading by putting books in their hands that they then get to take home and keep. Here to tell us more about how Dirigo Reads continues to expand is co-founder Dan Cashman. So Dan, for anyone who has never heard of it, what is Dirigo Reads?
Dirigo Reads is a program that started a few years ago with the mission of providing every first grader in every public school in Maine a new book to keep for every month of the school year by 2025. And at the moment, we have made our way into 85 different schools spread across all 16 counties throughout the state. So we are still chugging down the train tracks, getting towards our goal. We're getting closer and closer every year.
Now, you said a few years ago, how long has this program been around?
It's been around since the fall of 2019. That's the first time that we entered into schools. We started with 6 schools, and we're based in Bangor, so we chose one school per county to the west, north, and east, and Penobscot County. And we started small, and we tried to incorporate large schools. I think our largest at the time was Brewer, and it had around 100 first graders.
Right.
And the smallest was Castine in Hancock County, and that had 2 first graders.
Wow.
And then we had some other schools in between that allowed us to really give the program itself a good pilot run.
So started in 2019. Kudos to you for keeping it going through the pandemic, because that had to have been challenging when the kids weren't in school for much of that time.
It was, but the kudos really goes to the schools that were a part of the program. Our role didn't really change during that time. We just had to make sure that the teachers updated us with the number of first graders they had in their classes. Classes were still being had even though they were remote, but at the time, if you think back to those times, they still had lunch pickups available at, I think, all schools, but definitely all schools that were involved with Dirigo Reads. So they incorporated the book deliveries into the lunch pickup program. So when the books came in for first grade classes, the books were a part of the lunch pickups that parents would do for their kids during the school day. So it was a fairly seamless transition, and I was particularly proud of it just because everything was so abnormal for adults, but also for young minds, and to have some sense of normalcy going home was particularly important.
So this is such a great program and such a great idea. Where did this come from? Where did you get the inspiration to do this?
Well, from the spirit of giving back, really. We looked at ways that we could potentially give back. Karen Sanborn and myself co-founded the program, and we just tried to figure out the best possible way to give back. And both of our moms worked in libraries, and we both have a strong love for reading. And we would also look at our oldest child coming home and knowing just from stories that she would tell that not everybody had books at their house that kids could read. So it took a little bit of creativity to figure out how could we help in this process, but also what is the right age to help with this type of a program. And through lots of conversations and lots of research, we discovered that it is a program that would be beneficial for every community in the entire state, but also first grade is really that sweet spot of reading. If you think about a child, when they're born, there's a baby shower, there's birthday parties, and books are a large part of that child's young life. But then as they get older, as they sort of eclipse into that next stage of reading around first grade, there are no more baby showers for that child because that child at that point is 6. But birthday parties, they're into other things, and books are not necessarily the first choice for people anymore. So that home library tends to shrink. And that's such a important age of a child in terms of advancing their reading level. It really made a lot of sense with all the research we did to target first grade as the grade to get these books in the kids' hands and be able to have them take them home.
It really is. I mean, I know one of the children who was in that first year at Brewer Community School was one of those first recipients, and to this day, she reads all the time. She sits in the back of my car and reads books to me. This is the book I'm reading right now, and she'll read to me. It's just such a great foundation for developing that love of reading. And it's a big deal that they get to take the book home instead of just, I got a library book and I have to take it back.
Yeah, I was just reading with my oldest and my youngest, but they obviously are reading different books. And my youngest was, she picked out a few books to read the other night. And I was just thumbing through them as she was getting herself situated, and I thought, why does this book look so familiar? And it stuck out at me that it was a Dirigo Reads book from last year, and because she is also in Brewer, and it didn't dawn on me right off, and it sort of reinforced that these books are books that they're going to take home and read over and over again for a while, and that was really special.
Yeah, and you've gotten some national attention with this program, right? Didn't Disney help you out at one point?
Yeah, Disney helped us out about a year ago, actually. We found a connection, made a connection, and Disney Books heard enough about it to say we'd like to donate a month's worth of books. And we have had a lot of very kind people reach out, in-state authors and some out-of-state people, and what they'll offer is maybe 100 books. We just can't do that. The way that we're set up, the way that the program is set up, we can't take a donation of 100 books and then give everyone else different books,
right,
or buy these books at retail prices. It's just the budgeting, the way it's set up, the way it's distributed, it can't handle that type of a thing. So when Disney came forward and said, we'll donate some books, my first response was a little bit skeptical, and it was, well, we need 2,600. And they came back and said, great, where do we send them?
We're Disney,
said,
no problem.
Yeah, that's right, I forgot. We're the happiest place on earth. My gosh. So we ended up partnering with Kohl's locally, and they had a bunch of volunteers come and help us pack the books, and then we shipped the books. So there was still a little bit of expense because normally the books are direct shipped to schools from the vendors, and in this case we made it sort of a community effort to try to bring in some volunteers, educate them about the program. Kohl's ended up giving us a donation on top of having the volunteers, which was very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was neat. It was neat to just know that we had gotten the attention of Disney in a way that it was meaningful enough that they stepped up and gave us 2,600 books to send around to kids throughout the state of Maine.
Yeah, that's awesome to get that recognition. And wow, this is a great program. We want to help, and it's Disney. That's very cool.
Yeah, we would still like to get the attention of Dolly Parton, though. She's got her bookmobile, and, a nice video message, maybe a visit, a hug, any of those things. We're very open to those.
But she has a similar program, right?
It is similar. I think it targets, it's sad, I don't know enough about it, but my understanding is it targets specific communities that might have a higher low-income rate or poverty rate.
Right.
It doesn't go into the schools directly, I don't think, and I don't think it's a book a month.
Okay.
But again, I did some research on it last year. They announced that it was expanding into Maine last year at I think it was the New England Governors Conference. She had a message that was played at that. And then, much to my surprise, that weekend, Governor Mills did a radio address about it and mentioned Dirigo Reads alongside Dolly Parton's program.
Nice.
And it surprised me how many people reached out when they heard that to say, did you hear Governor Mills mention your program? So that was really, really heartwarming. We had no idea she was going to do that, and it was very nice of her to do.
Yeah. So how many schools did you say that you're servicing right now?
So right this second, we are in 85 schools, and that's throughout every county. And we are announcing new schools coming into the program for the next school year in literally days. So that number will increase for the upcoming school year, and it will continue to increase every year.
Okay. Are you still taking applications for schools to get involved?
Yes, for sure. If a school isn't selected in the year that they submit the application, we hang on to it. So there are applications that are still in our database that were submitted last year, the year before, and all of them get taken into consideration for the upcoming school year. It's not just the applications we've gotten this school year for the following school year.
Okay.
So, and one question that has come up every year, at least one school will ask, do we have to reapply or are we still getting books next year? And the answer is every school that starts in this program stays in this program for as long as it exists and as long as they exist as a school.
Yeah.
Nobody has to reapply. Nobody has to come back. And we've never heard from anybody who says, gosh, this is too much. We don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Because really it's easy for the schools. They get the books and then they can incorporate them into any sort of curriculum for the students if they want to, or they can just hand them out. And all we ask is that the schools provide us with an updated number of students so that we don't shortchange them by accident.
Right. So if there are school administrators listening saying, hey, I want to fill out an application for our school, how do they do that?
They do that by going to our website, which is dirigoreads.org. And on that website, there is a page that says contact. And that has the form to fill out. And the term application is maybe a bit strong. It really is just a contact form. There's no tough questions. There's no financial information needed. You don't have to give us 3 years of your taxes. It's literally just a form with the information about you and whoever's filling it out in the school.
Right.
And then we do the rest. So it takes less than 5 minutes to fill out, as long as you know what your name is. And if you know the name of the school in which you work, then you're ahead of the game. It's very easy. And the other thing that I would say to any administrators or teachers listening is you can ask any school teacher, student, family that's part of this program in another school. There are no strings attached. You hear that a lot, and then there are thousands of strings attached.
Right.
But there really are no strings attached to this. There's no cost to the school. There's no requirement to report out. There's nothing other than if your kids want to take a group picture and send it to us so we can include it in our website or social media, that's wonderful, but that's not required either. Nothing's required other than just distributing the books to the students in your classroom.
Okay. All right. So if a school contacts you, the answer is never no, but it might be not yet. Is that accurate?
Right. The only time that we have had to say no is we have been contacted by a couple of private schools.
Okay.
And while we would love to provide books for everybody, and maybe someday private schools will be the next step, we're really laser focused on trying to get every public school in Maine taken care of. So I guess we never really said no to the private schools either, but it was a longer not yet, because we've got to achieve the goal that we set out to achieve first, and then we'll figure out if there's room for growth beyond there.
Okay. So this program grows every year. You service more students every year, which must cost more money every year. How is the program funded?
It is funded by amazing partners that have signed on to the program. We've signed some up for the coming year, and we have a number who have been involved for a while. Machias Savings Bank has been involved since day one. They are what we call our Dirigo Star founding partner, because they provide the most books and the most resources for the most books to get in the most hands of students, which we just love. But it's certainly not just Machias Savings Bank. Casella is involved, Northern Light Health, PCHC, Cross Insurance, Versant Power, Bangor Savings Bank, United Way of Eastern Maine, Sutherland Weston, The First. I'm sure I've left somebody off the list unintentionally, and I apologize. I'll send you cookies. And we have more businesses coming in already for the next year, which is wonderful. And we have strong optimism for the health of this program to carry forward for years and years to come. You're right, though. It is expensive. The number of books will obviously increase the price, but prices on a lot of things have gone up recently.
Right.
And that includes the price of paper and the price of printing and the price of shipping. So even if we just stayed with the number of schools that we have right now, next year, the cost will still go up. So it is incredibly important that the partners that we have either stay on board with us or new partners come on board in order to get these books in the hands. But if anybody needs any sort of indication that the return on investment is strong, I will happily share the letters that we get, the handwritten notes from students and the pictures. It is, I'm a softie, so I get them. And I won't lie, I've had to take a minute to collect myself after reading some of these. You know that they are using every ounce of thankfulness that they have in their little bodies to put into a little note card. And it's the reason to keep doing this, because not only does it improve their literacy skills, they are clearly touched and very thankful, because some of these kids, these are the only books they have in their house.
Yeah.
And that just, it means a lot to them, and you can see it. You can see it when we're lucky enough to go into schools, and you can see it in the notes that they write. And if there's any potential partner out there considering investing their money into a program like this, I will happily share any of this information, because if it doesn't touch you in a way of pride and happiness, then you might have a heart made out of stone. It's really incredible to see what these kids have for thankfulness.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So if a business wants to get involved, how do they do that?
So we made it super easy on our website. They fill out the same form. There's a little check mark at the bottom, and it says, are you inquiring about A, B, C, or D? And one of those is my business becoming a partner. One of those is my school or town being included in the next wave of Dirigo Reads participants. So the form is just as easy for businesses. You just got to fill it out with your name, address, name of your business, and that you are a business looking to become a partner. Or if you're a school, you fill it out, same information, and just say, we're a school that wants to participate. And that's all at dirigoreads.org, and click on the contact page.
Learn more at dirigoreads.org. next. While we're talking about kids, I wanted to remind you of a program through the Maine Discovery Museum that makes visits to the facility easier for children with a variety of challenges. Here's Executive Director Kate Dickerson to tell us all about My Day to Play.
For anyone who's never been there, Kate, what is the Maine Discovery Museum?
So the Maine Discovery Museum, we are 3 floors of interactive hands-on exhibits. We are a children's museum and a science and technology center. A lot of our exhibits are geared towards younger kids, so the children's museum part, and a lot of our programming is geared towards older kids all the way up through adults.
That is such a great way for kids to learn that kind of hands-on, make it fun and get them involved instead of just, walk through and look at an exhibit and have somebody tell you about it.
Yeah, I mean, you do need to be kind of a grown-up to do the walkthrough thing, and even then it can be hard. So it is good. We often say to ourselves here at the museum the power of play and how important that is. And, I think that's important for everybody, but it's especially true for kids because they're natural scientists and curious about everything around them. So this gives them a chance to kind of safely explore in a lot of different ways.
Okay. All right. So My Day to Play, tell us what that is.
This has been one of our most popular programs. So this is grant funded by the Penobscot Foundation for Developmental Services, and we actually are collaborating with Maine Access to Inclusive Education Resources at the University of Maine. And what My Day to Play is an opportunity for families that have kids with disabilities who might face barriers coming to the museum during regular museum times, either because it's too loud or it's overwhelming or they just, it's hard to maneuver for them with a lot of other people here. They can come during the My Day to Play sessions. So it's an opportunity that we run it twice a month on Sundays. It's an opportunity for kids who have, like I said, disabilities or other barriers to explore the museum at their own pace with their families, and they're the only ones who are here at the museum. It's everything from kids who have autism to different mobility issues. And like I said, we run it twice a month. One of those sessions on Sunday, we run it from 1 to 4. And all of this is free for the families. That's the beauty of it being grant funded. One of the Sundays is just time at the museum. So like we were talking about before, an opportunity for kids to play at their own pace and just explore. And then the other Sunday, we actually have some of our education team here, and they run programs that, kids can choose to do or not, but a lot of the programming that we do during the week focuses on specific crafts and arts and science exploration. So some of that happens on the other Sunday as well. So it's essentially a chance for families who don't necessarily feel comfortable or able to visit the museum during the week can come and be surrounded by similar families to themselves and have their kids explore in a safe way.
Find more information at MaineDiscoveryMuseum.org. I'm Cindy Campbell. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and stay healthy.
Join us again next weekend for Maine Concerns with your Town Square Media News Team.